The Captain, a Tale from the World of Heathmore. Part 1. There was a storm coming. Captain Colehart could smell it in the air and could feel it in the wind. The slight shift in the waves. He had spent a lifetime at sea, and she had taught him much. One thing he knew above all else was to always expect things to get worse. That was a lesson that applied to his entire life. The title that would sit above a biographical tome detailing the long series of misfortunes and hardships that was his life. A different man would have risen above these difficulties, emerging as a phoenix would from the ashes of despair. But that was not who the captain was. The men called him Colehart for a reason. He was bitter, and he was angry. He was the cliff at the edge of the world, etched by the ocean, chipped away by the elements, by time. Against the rising wind, he adjusted his tricorn and held firm against the net of rope next to him. His eyes were fixed on the small island ahead and the pirate ship moored at the shore, unmistakable with its spiked maroon sail spread widely. He recognized the flag of its captain, Shu Hui. He'd never crossed paths with her before, but knew she swore allegiance to Bo Yin's company of pirates. In the light of the setting sun, he sighed, his knuckles turning white. Of course they would be here. Of course he would arrive second. That was the way of things. Always. But he was too close now to give up. To lose. He had spent years searching for the elusive Horkos treasure, a secret collection of gold and riches whose location was only known by a select few. It was said this treasure was meant to be Astria's final repository, an insurance policy in case she lost everything else. But after her fall at the hands of the Hatun and the decimation of the Order of Horkos, the treasure had been left vulnerable. Its protection was now limited, and rumors of a small contingency of Horkos warriors with a map to the treasure's location had reached Colehart. He had spent weeks sailing after them, but now that he had reached their hiding place, Shu Hui had beaten him to the map. Her crew had left the Horkos ship a burning wreck and seemed ready to depart. But that wasn't going to happen. He would be condemned to the nightmare trench the Leviathans called home, if he wouldn't fight for that map. Part 2. He gave the command and his men opened fire. The sound of cannons tore through the peaceful stillness of the sea, filling the warm, salty air with smoke, fire, and ash. The rival ship had seen them coming rapidly, and they returned fire in kind. Colehart steered the helm, letting it spin endlessly before grabbing hold with both hands, avoiding a lethal barrage of cannonballs. With the wind in his favor, he steered the Lone Crow, closing the distance between him and the enemy ship. "Let the night run red with the blood of our enemies," the captain shouted to his crew. "Go on now, lads, and do enjoy yourselves." Now with the striking distance, his men swung over to the rival ship, screaming, shouting, and laughing. Cannons blasted left and right, wood splintering and shattering in balls of flames. Pirates died in the nascent night, their screams lost to the colorful horizon. Shoulders broad, Colehart stared at the carnage unfolding in front of him. He and his men had a reputation. Across the known seas they were feared, said to fight like raging devils, known to leave no survivors. If their black flag sailed towards you, it was said that gods would hear your prayers, but they would not answer. Letting out a malicious chuckle, Captain Colehart secured hold of a boarding rope and swept into the thick of battle. His boots landed on the sturdy deck with a thud. He was heavy, weighed down by the world itself. "I have come for me prize," he exclaimed. With a swipe of his sword, he sliced down an enemy pirate before stabbing another right in the gut. His pistol fired with a deafening puff of smoke, the round pellet landing in a pirate's chest with such impact that they fell off the boat. Colehart laughed hoarsely. This was good. This was right. He could feel it in his wretched bones. At every turn, life had denied him, bounties stolen from under him, riches pulled from his grasp, opponents with a pound of luck more than fate would ever grant him. He told himself he wasn't cursed, but that's what it had felt like. Everything he had wanted lost, everything he cared about gone. What little he had fought and bled for, defined by the dirty calluses on his hands. A gunshot rang out, a bullet meant for him, and Colehart held one of his own men in front of him to catch it. He threw the dead body to the side and rushed towards the pirate who had opened fire, slicing thrice before they ever had the chance to reload their pistol. It was dark now, the beautiful canopy of peach and purple of the setting sun now replaced by a canvas of blackness, a nearly full moon trying its hardest to pierce through the thickening clouds. Cannons continued to fire and the battle raged on. The deck turned slick with blood. Colehart continued to strike down every pirate that dared stand in his path, and all the while he searched for the ship's captain. If anyone was in possession of the map, it would be her. "Shoo hui! Face me if you dare, you coward!" he belted out, an open challenge he hoped would draw out his quarry. It didn't work, because of course it wouldn't, and so he continued to cut through pirates with his cutlass, firing his pistol whenever he had time to reload, until finally he saw Shoo hui, a roll of parchment in her hand. She was running away, her dwindling pirates were fighting a losing battle, and she opted to save herself from Colehart and the onslaught of his men. No honor among pirates. Though through his thick beard Colehart smiled widely. What a welcome sight this was. Shoo hui grabbed a rope, leapt over the boat's side, and slid down until she landed waist-deep in the water. She trudged through the thickness, heading for the island's beach. Colehart didn't know what she expected to achieve exactly, and he didn't care. He wasn't going to let her get away. He sheathed his sword and rushed after her. Part 3. It didn't take much for him to catch up to her. Shoo hui stumbled through crashing waves until she found steady footing on wet sand. She looked injured, desperate. "There'll be no point in running, lass," he boasted. "You can't escape me."
"I am not trying to escape," Shoo hui said. "I simply wanted to face you without any distraction."
Colehart laughed from deep within his belly. "A challenge?" he asked.
"Yes," she answered. "A duel."
"Aye, a duel," he said, suddenly serious. Other than bad luck, Colehart didn't believe in much, but he did believe in the duelist code. A challenge had to be met. So be it. The code was clear, respected among pirates. An armed opponent, no outside help, no pistols, a fair fight. He unsheathed his sword, the sharp blade catching the moonlight. "Let our fates be decided, then." They rushed towards one another, each yelling out in the night, and their blades met. It was in these moments that he felt in control, master of his own fate, every movement his own, every parry, every hit, a fortune of his own making. Even though Shoo hui was injured, she didn't let that slow her down. Her hits were relentless, vicious. Colehart backed away with every one of her strikes. He blocked and pushed forward, answering in kind. Steel clashed against steel as waves pushed and pulled against the shore, palm trees further behind dancing wildly in the wind. The storm was almost here. The battle on the ship had quieted. Colehart knew his men had won. There was just one obstruction left. The map was almost within reach, and so was the treasure. All he had to do was win. But that proved harder than he had anticipated. Even injured, his opponent proved formidable. He thought he would have made an easy prey of her. He should have known better. Distracted, Colehart failed to notice the small piece of coral behind him. His foot caught the rock directly. He lost his footing and fell in the sand, cutlass dropping out of his grasp. His rival didn't let this opportunity go to waste. Shoo hui began striking at the ground with severe animosity. He tucked and avoided what he could, but the sword caught his leg and he yelled out in pain. He searched frantically for his sword, but it was just out of reach. He lay hopelessly in the sand, his opponent towering over him. She had a smile on her face, the one that only came when victory was at hand. The smile suddenly turned downward into an expression of shock. Her eyes turned wide and empty. The bullet had hit her chest before she had the chance to react. The pistol smoked in Colehart's hand. She fell to her knees, then sideways, the rising tide lapping her dead face with cold, salted water. On his feet, Colehart holstered his weapon. He did believe in the code, when it was convenient. "Apologies, lass," he told the dead pirate, "but losing is no option today. Rotten luck be damned." He tossed a piece of coral with his foot, then searched the body. There it was. The map, wet but still legible. The X was marked a canyon in Heathmore. He had his destination. He headed back to the Lone Crow, leaving the dead Shu Hui on the beach. In a few hours, the rising tide would claim her, and he would be long gone.